Mercury, the planet of messages, news, information, and commerce, as well as all things fit to print and speak, is moving into visible status in our sky in the middle of September, starting around the 13th of the month at Virgo 8 degrees, and will be visible in our sky for an entire month until the middle of October. And this is exciting and wonderful for each of us in the Virgo part of our primary real estate called the Virgo whole sign house of your natal sky. We're going to be going through each single sign to talk about how this will be an amazing 30-day period that can bring some superior goodness to you when it comes to ideas, to things you want to create that are marketable and merchandisable, to your even to your finances, because then Mercury also forms a lovely trine to Jupiter on the 25th of September. So I love this sky so much. I'm really happy to talk about visible planets, because when they're visible or powerful and very active, Mercury's hardly ever a visible planet. So this is a very special time, a very positive time for many of us in the sky between about September 13th to the middle of or October the 15th, 2023. If you're new to my channel, welcome. My name is Lori Lothian. I'm using the Western Tropical Zodiac and whole sign houses. This is not sidereal astrology. I love the minor asteroids. I also dice in a little Sabian symbol, so we'll be talking about some of that. Two stars are involved, named Alioth and Zosma. So this is going to be interesting to talk about the meaning of those stars that Mercury is sitting in front of when he stations into direct motion. This is a quick video, but it's hopefully useful and informative, and you can use it in your own life. Before we get going on the all signs delineation, I would mention a couple of things. I've got a cool bit of new jewelry that I really love. It's kind of cool how it wiggles like a actual tail of a rattlesnake. And also I have the Coolio snake bracelet that is actually like a cool bracelet that latches in and out, and it's a snake tail with the snake with the tail in its mouth. And I'm a jewelry lover, as many of you know, and I have to share jewelry that I love. So I decided to share this with you today. And it's a brand that I'm supporting. So Lori15 is a code to get 15% off any jewelry from Coppertist Woo. And I'll put a link in the description box for their website and my code. I'm not getting an affiliate link. I'm just sharing this because I love what they're up to. Why? Their jewelry is all really about nature, and their mission statement is, I'm going to read it to you. At the heart of our work is a single powerful mission to celebrate and protect the incredible creatures that share our world through the magic of art. And so on they go to talk about the art of this particular jeweler is all about the animals. In this case, I'm wearing a snake pendant. I wanted to get the snake earrings, but they were out, and a snake bracelet to demonstrate the beauty of this particular artist. So if you're into that kind of thing, they have other animals, amphibious animals like frogs and more snakes and all kinds of stuff. So if you're interested in just checking out Coppertist Woo and having a 15% discount on any of their jewelry with Lori15, Lori 15, the information is under the more button in the description box. So let's get going and talk about your sign. I think you guys are going to like this particular Mercury story. There is a bit of hardship because he's going to come into his phosphes or rise as a morning star, where we can see him just before the sunrise. And if you can go out in your place of where you live to see him, because it's such a rare event, and check his morning rise, it might be really cool. Depends on your latitude. So maybe the earliest place in the world, we'll see him around the 13th or so at 8 Virgo, but then 14th, 15th, 16th, pretty well everyone gets a view of Mercury rising, or Mercury in the morning sky before the sun will rise. And so check it out. It's good for talismanic and magical stuff, making a piece of magical art or jewelry or a candle under this mercurial influence. Because he's in a broad trine to Jupiter, he has protection. And Jupiter in Taurus is retrograde, but still it's Jupiter. And on the 25th, at retrograde, Jupiter comes into contact with direct motion Mercury. Second of all, Mercury's exalted in his home sign. So he's in his own dignity, in his own mansion, and he's in his own exaltation with that broad trine to Jupiter that increases on the 25th. This is also a sign of this being a more or less positive rise. Now, I say that despite two difficult stars, Alioth, which is known to be burdened with patriarchal lore and deep darker forces of control of the patriarchy, and Zosma, which can bring misfortune. I think it's the rump of the lion. But these may be collective stories to do with patriarchal forces that repress and burden, and stories of removing the burden, because in that trine to Jupiter, the god of justice, there could be a shift. I have no political game, no stake in this thing, but there's a lot of upset women. The Supreme Court has reversed Roe versus Wade, and Jupiter going back over old ground is a god of justice. Who knows? Maybe there'll be some new information about mitigating factors around that judgment or something like that. Misfortune is the general concept of Zosma is really vague. And so I can't say much about it. It's not a star I work with, but Mars rising on Zosma and on Alioth, and then looking back over his shoulder at Jupiter retrograde, still feels as Jupiter retrograde and Mercury form a flowing, easy, lucky trine on the 25th of May, still feels more positive than not. The part of the story that kind of concerns me before we do all signs, and I'll show you the sky, is Saturn. Let me show you the sky now. Saturn is in an oppositional position to the rise of Mercury, and I don't know if that is going to be trumping or overriding the value of Jupiter. So here we have the sky. I've taken out all planets that don't really matter so that we can just focus on this. But here you see Mercury, right, moving here. He's at 9 degrees on September 11th, but don't forget he's retrograding. And it's his distance from the sun that forms the actual thing we call, his visibility. And here he is on the 13th at 8 degrees, the sun at 21. And astronomically, they are anticipating his visibility at that time. Most planets need to be around 15 degrees away from the sun for visibility, but Mercury can be visible a little bit closer. So here's Mercury, and here's the sun, and he's got this kind of new moon forming, as you can see. That's going to be a new moon in Virgo. I've done a whole video about the new moon in Virgo, so go watch that video. It's really a powerful new moon that over the 6 months that follow has a huge impact on health matters for the world. But on the other hand, at this very time, around the 13th, Mercury will become visible at certain places in the world, and then depending on where you live, the next 3 or 4 days, he'll be visible everywhere. And because you can see Jupiter is here and Mercury is here, it will take Mercury until the 25th of September, roughly 10 days later, 11 days later, to make that trine to Jupiter. But this is a positive flow. It says now Mercury direct, Mercury stations direct, moves direct, starts going direct on September 15th. That means that Mercury is moving very slow, and he's pausing at 8 degrees for several days before he moves into direct motion on September the 15th. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about the Sabian symbol for 8 degrees of Mercury, 8 degrees of Virgo, which we move up to 9 degrees of Virgo in Sabian symbol land. And so let me grab my Sabian symbol book and get that down for you. Hang on while I take a sip of water. And I'm not going to stop the share because when I do, well, I just, I don't have time today to stop the share. I'm also going to see if Mercury happens to be on an asteroid because I'm whipping this video up on short notice. Thank you everyone for helping me get to 40,000 views on my channel. I really appreciate you guys. It just happened on September 1st. And if you're watching the live premiere for this video, hit that like button. Thank you. And if you're watching later, hit like and subscribe. Oh, I forgot to tell you that Sky Reader comes out starting on September 23rd. Fourth time I've taught Sky Reader, a 6-week course, how to time your own life, be your own astrologer, time your best life. Check it out. Description box below. You want to get into that class with me, this is your chance. All right, so I'm just making sure that Mercury isn't hobnobbing with any particular asteroid as he rises, and then we'll go ahead and look at that Sabian symbol. He is conjunct Urania. Okay, now Urania is the muse of astrology and astronomy, daughter of Zeus, by the way, also connected to the arts as well, dance and music and song. I'm wondering here a lot of the time, I'm thinking, Mercury rules ancient knowledge and wisdom, occult arts, and things like that. And also theory and knowledge. And in my view, Urania is astronomy, right? Astronomy. And we've been having so many stories about the stars, the heavens, was it India landing on the moon? So there may be some big stories either about aerial phenomena, UFOs, or astronomy, a new star, a galaxy, a discovery of something on the moon. So astronomy may be big in the news cycle as Mercury becomes visible, because breakthroughs, new knowledge, and revelations and realizations happen in big ways in the literal news cycle when Mercury becomes a visible planet. Now, to remind you, he was actually basically invisible in the heart of the sun on September the 6th. I did a webinar on that. And that was his rebirth, the point in which halfway through the retrograde, he entered the heart of the sun to be born again and rise as a morning star version of himself. So this is a very much part of that Cazimi as well. And I tied in a lot of the minor asteroids like Nessus and Bacchus and Diana into the story of his Cazimi. So you might want to, well, you didn't take my webinar. I think I'll put a link to the Venus Cazimi webinar replay in my description box. It was a private class for 200 something students, but I'll put a link down below. All right, so now back to the narrative. We're going to take a quick gander of the Sabian symbol at this particular 8 degrees, round up to 9 degrees of Virgo. My favorite book is Sabian Symbols, A Screen of Prophecy by Diana E. Roche. I do not even have a cover for this book. I've had it for so long. It actually got rained on when I lived in Montreal a few years ago, and then I had to take it out of the rain and the cover fell off. But it's been a book that I've used as a Sabian symbol resource for a long time. Sabian symbols, 1 degree, channeled information for each degree of the 360 degree wheel of the zodiac. All right, it's a book from the 1930s. Lots of people love this stuff. So a man making a futurist drawing, Virgo, 9 degrees. A man making a futurist drawing. Now, a man making a futurist drawing and the asteroid for astronomy and astrology, Urania, the muse of those things, is very evocative to me, and I hope it is to you as well. What could a man making a futurist drawing mean in this context? So futurism, AI, futurism, aliens, UFOs, futurism, space travel, who knows? Her stepping stone words that she likes to use are creativity, imagination, revelation, prophecy, experimentation, individualism, distinctiveness, originality. Okay. And she says keyword experiment. So let's find out what we find out. Maybe there's going to be a revelation about a scientific experiment and shocking or exciting news about that. Maybe the Turing test is passed finally perfectly by the latest AI. Maybe there is some disclosure or discovery regarding the UFO or aerial phenomena thing going on. Unidentified? Is it UA? Unidentified AP, UAP, unidentified aerial phenomena. Okay, so let's see what happens in the month after this, basically. All right, there's definitely something interesting going on in the world here. And it may distract us, thank God, from all the other woes of the world, because there's a lot of turbulence coming up with Mars and the South Node for the stock markets in the end of September, beginning of October, despite this glorious Mercury transit. Now, also, Mercury is in the sign of Virgo, which is his home sign, until October the 5th or so. I don't think we'll see market turbulence until he gets into Libra. So we're looking at the really best part of this story, mid-September to October the 5th, in your own life for your own rising sign, which I'm about to delineate. There's that opposition, right, to Mercury. Mercury's retrograding, and Mercury is moving back this direction. And this is a stationary, basically, Mercury on the 13th as he gets ready to go direct on the 15th. You know, if I advance the chart, you'll see what I mean. There's the 15th, and you see Mercury is no longer in retrograde. He's at 8 degrees, but going forward. So we'll move it back because I'm going to start with Aries rising. But the idea here is that opposition to Saturn, that 6-degree opposition to Saturn, can mean some suppression, some containment around news or information, and it's something trying to contain or squelch or what's another good Saturn word? Create walls around some news or information can happen with that Saturn opposition. Saturn can represent authorities and people in authority, governing bodies as well. Saturn is with Neptune in Pisces, and we've seen so many hardship stories with water, right? We have the Fukushima reactor dumping radioactive water, apparently treated, into the ocean. We have a concern about the global warming, which is, by the way, a methane release. Then scientists don't know why methane is heating up on the planet. It's too much for the cows. It has to do with solar cycles and wetlands in the South America and Africa, maybe. But the point is that hardship with water is a story that means Saturn, Neptune. That's what it means, hardship with water. There's the sun, leaders, politicians, people in power. So maybe there's going to be some really difficult stories emerging about hardship in water and war, hardship in water and politics, hardship in water and leaders going through the sky during this time, but revealing breakthrough knowledge and things that were hidden. This was always going on, and now someone's talking about it. That's the idea. When it came to the Fukushima dump of the water, I think China just declared that it won't import any sea products, like likely seaweed, among other things, from Japan now. because they think it could be contaminated. And I don't blame them, really. You know, I wouldn't either. You know, things like the submarine, capsizing boats and refugees drowning, the submarine that imploded. We're going to find more stories that water's a problem, water rising, hurricanes, all of that. It's not that I'm saying that this is what this Mercury rising is about. This is a longer story of Saturn and Neptune with Uranus, extreme weather and hardships with the climate in the sign of Taurus, like the 30s, like the Dust Bowl, etc. So I'm not sure exactly what Saturn's going to do to thwart the goodness of Jupiter and Mercury, but it may just be some constraint from authority around what is being revealed. But I think with Jupiter in the mix, things will turn out. Go back to August the 23rd as well. There was a story going on August 23rd when Mercury attempted to make contact with Uranus, and that didn't happen. But now Mercury will make contact with Uranus, and that's going to happen at the end of September. And that will mean a big breaking news story to do with Taurus stories. Like Taurus can be monetary policy, money, currencies, crypto. Taurus can be land, property, or climate, environment, crops, things like that. And that story that did not quite emerge around, because Mercury refrained from making a perfect trine to Uranus around August 23rd, will come out at the end of September. And Mercury is visible. Mercury is visible. So this will be a big splash, but we'll all go back and go, oh my God, there was evidence of this in the news cycle around the third week of August, but there was like chatter or maybe non-mainstream news stories were covering it from Rumble and stuff, or whatever, and then it's breaking into the public awareness. Just a thought, you know? On the Cazimi of September 6th, I didn't include this in my work for the, I didn't put this in the public. The asteroid Wuhan was nearly perfectly sextile Mercury from Scorpio, the sign of secrets. Is there a possibility that there's even more revelations about the origin of the pandemic itself, or about pandemic stories that could be emerging at the end of the month of September, with Uranus basically in a whole sign opposition and Jupiter to Wuhan, just as Jupiter going back over the ground, Uranus shocking revelations, Mercury news stories, even more stories that could possibly upset the apple cart of people's trust in governments, policies, and pharmaceutical revenue that overrides the system in which they're supposed to be science first. Yes. It's not good when ruling bodies that govern medicine are funded by the medicine companies themselves, right? That makes no sense. It's like ridiculous. It's like, if referees in a soccer match were funded by, sponsors for the other team or something, you know what I mean? It's like, what? So, it's like FDA, like 80% of revenue comes from big pharma. Hello. And each country all around the supposedly civilized world has a similar problem with their governing bodies for medicines that are supposed to, what do you call it? Watchdog over them, license them, make sure it's safe. So this is not something I'm making up. Okay. This has been documented. This is real data. So just keep in mind, I wouldn't be surprised if Mercury in his Cazimi sextile to Wuhan does not, in his visible status, mid-September to mid-October, release some pretty upsetting news stories, particularly around the last part of September with that finalizing a trine to Uranus. Now, that was the mundane astrology. We're going to go quickly through the general meaning of Mercury coming into visible status around the 13th of September. And I'd say, let's keep it to October 5th, not because even though he's visible until October the 15th, he's in Libra. So let's make this a simple story of what's going on in your Mercury chunk of real estate for those 3 weeks that Mercury is visible in your sixth house and coming on the 25th into a trine with Jupiter especially. So let's start with the Aries people, and then we'll keep going through each sign. Now, let me just take a quick pause Reminding you, if you're new to my channel, everything in my description box below is what you need to know about classes and my Patreon community. You can't get a reading with me. I'm booked till next May, but you get on a waiting list because spots open up, and I also drop spots each month out of the calendar that were blocked off. This is, again, Copper to Swoo. I just love how it wiggles. I put it on a black thread thingy that I had. You can put it, of course, with whatever chain you want. And of course, this is a funky piece of jewelry, and I'm sharing it because I love jewelry. I'm not getting an affiliate link if you buy it. I just got the jewelry for free to promote it. So, but your code is Lori15. All right. Just so you know, full disclosure. Okay. So, a shout out to all my regulars. You guys are amazing. Thank you for supporting my channel. The Feral Writer, Stephen the Jupiterian, Ace of Spades, Misbehaving, L.A. Taylor, Serge Lavelle, Michael Thrash, Linda Calder, and more. Thank you for being a part of my team in my live premieres. There's so many of you I could be shouting out. I'm just dropping a few names today. And I'm recording on September 6th, and my Patreon gets this early access ad-free content. So if you want to get this before the public, you might want to be on my Patreon community for a measly $5 a month. Plus Zoom meetings with me every month as well, up to 3 depending on your tier. Okay, so now here we go, and we're going to go back to the all signs, and that was a commercial break. Yes, it was, and let's get going. For those of you who troll me for various reasons, and I don't want to just be mean to you, but I do advertise things. I do share what I'm doing as a businesswoman, and like what classes I'm teaching or what products I want to share, and often share things that I just love, like my sister's a healer and I share about her. And so if you don't like that, just advance forward. You don't have to stick around for that. And I don't put the ads from YouTube on. They put the ads on. I am monetized, but that is a part of how I make my living. So again, it's part of my business model. Alrighty, here we go. Aries Sun, Aries Moon, and Rising. This is definitely lovely to have Mercury here in the house of livelihood, work, as well as pets and sickness. Because Mercury coming into the visible part of your sky, if you have some kind of undiagnosed sickness, or you need to see clearly or get the information you need for healing, certainly you can get that going super powerfully with no problem, as Mars becomes a visible planet for you September 13th to the middle of October, keeping in mind the best juices before October 5th. The second thing here is jobs, work, and work situations that were not really happening. He was retrograde. Maybe you went back to an old employer, you heard from old employees. He's coming out of that 3-week retrograde, and that's coming to the close on September 15th. And as he goes into direct motion, you hear from the employer, you get the job offer, you get the interview opportunity. If you've been waiting for a pet, like a breeder suddenly calls you and says, hey, we finally got the babies ready to go, or the babies are born. Good news around pets. Also good news around the health of pets could be breaking free through your sky as a result of this. On a practical note, though, because this is in a trine to the 10th house, especially with Pluto up there, this can really power you up in your career success. I have an Aries Sun, Aries Moon. I'm down for a powered up in energy in my career success. So really good commercial property, like energy to it, selling, marketing, and sharing what you're doing, making more money, being more successful on the financial end of things with that trine to Pluto. And if anyone's going to kind of bring you opportunity, it's definitely Jupiter in that second house. So again, we see around 25th, a big pop in your opportune energies around your finances, earnings, and work situation. So for you guys, it's all about that area of the sky. Saturn's a downer, but if you have anybody behind the scenes who doesn't have your best, hidden enemies who are Saturnian, look out for grumpy old men and women who are downplaying your success. Or second of all, it could be your own self-control that you're trying to exercise, perhaps with an addiction or self-defeating pattern that's trying to guide this Mercury to work better with that Jupiter. All right, Taurus, Sun, Moon, and Rising sign. Well, we have Mercury becoming visible in your natal 5th house. This is excellent for sexuality and romance, and maybe between the 13th of the month to the middle of October, with a premium by October 5th, you might hear from a former lover, get connected to a new romance, hear from somebody that you have a fancy for, or they tell you, hey, I've been crushing on you. So this is really good for romance. This is also good for pregnancy. You or your partner could be definitely getting good pregnancy or fertility news, especially with Jupiter in your 1st house, and especially if you are the woman or the person who bears a child. So good fertility news is here as well. If you're at all all a Taurus entrepreneur, I love this for you as well. Your big, bold expansion of your identity as Jupiter runs this story through you until the end of May next year is now being met by a mercurial support system, especially on the 25th of September. This allows you to open up new avenues of opportunity for entrepreneurial and creative projects that will succeed, especially when Jupiter goes direct after the 29th of December. I also love this if you have children already, good news from your children, by your children coming through the sky. And in a trine, whole sign trine to Pluto in the 9th house, really good for the announcement of grandchildren coming your way if you want them, as well as maybe good things happening for you in publishing, foreign lands, travel, international endeavors, and maybe even in the context of academic environments for you or your children. They get accepted to their favorite school, or they are exceeding their expectations in their first semester of school this year if your kid is off to university. And Saturn's going to kibosh. Watch for a grumpy friend, a grumpy person in your social groups of belonging who's trying to kind of maybe give you some sober-minded realism, but also because he's in a relationship to a kind of a whole sign relationship to Jupiter, it kind of forming a wedge. Jupiter has, I think, trumps it, makes it all better. So, but watch out for kind of like constraint and restriction and difficulties in this window of in mid September to October with people who are trying to quash your enthusiasm for an entrepreneurial, creative, or even pregnancy thing, or an elder sibling who is doing that for you and kind of bringing a sober realism to something that you're just jubilant about. I think the jubilance is warranted. Oh, I'm going by day and I apologize. What I meant to do was go by hour. So let's fix that so we can get to the next sign. Gemini, sun, moon, and rising. So around the 13th, we had a visible Mercury through to the middle of October in your 4th house of home, property, real estate, the place where you sit and land and like privacy, what Netflix hour, bathtub, your home life, your domestic life, and your residence that you live in. So it's also a place where your childhood exists as well. So Mercury has been retrograding, hearing from the childhood friends or connecting to your parents maybe, or something like that over the 3 weeks. Don't forget, he goes direct on September 15th. He will be visible, and he's going to bring you some interesting developments that can be quite bounteous in that 4th house placement. Now, 4th house is just what you're doing in and home, around your home. We're going to have a new moon coming up here as well in the middle of the month, which is wonderful, on the 14th. And that's going to bring you new beginnings in terms of commercial, communicating, research, or study in and from the home over the months that follow, over the 6 months that follow. And we can say that maybe with Jupiter in the 12th house, it really is about research. 12th house can be that place where you go into research mode, but 12th house is also that place where Jupiter is sitting, where you may be doing revenue from foreign countries. And with being a Mercury Jupiter revenue generating machine from your home, that's wonderful. You could also sell a home because of that trine to Pluto, or buy a home. Now, the selling and buying of a home story may be most accurate while Mercury is still in your 4th house. So that would be the middle of September to about the 5th of October. And anyone quashing your enjoyment of this incredibly opportune time is probably somebody in your workspace, the boss, someone, a superior over you, kind of raining on the parade, trying to rein things in. Now, it could be very practical. You've got all this goodness happening here, but you're really busy at work, and work feels like a hardship, and you're trying to move your home, or you're trying to get something going in your home. My sun has progressed into Gemini. I could say that my busy work life is getting in the way of me researching my Deep Code Astrology book, which I am so into, guys, and a class for next year, starting next spring equinox. I'm thinking it and dreaming it, and I've got to do my hard work up here, okay? Because progressed sun here makes this a chart that works for someone like me. So it could be work burdens are really suppressing some of the excitement you have around a property buy, sell, or move, potentially even a move. But also, what are you doing in and from your home and around your home that could generate revenue, especially revenue from foreign shores? Then we're going to go with that. Cancer, sun, moon, and rising sign. The energy here is exciting. You got Mercury in your 3rd house becoming rarely visible. Middle of September, let's start the 13th to the middle of October. But remember, he's going to go direct on the 15th. That's when things get really juicy. And there's a new moon there on the 14th. What a busy chunk of real estate we've got. Go watch my new moon and Virgo video. And I think what I'd say to you guys, if you're a writer and involved in writing projects, this is a stellar beginning of something exceptional for you. I do have a few Cancer risings who are writers, and I'm really, wow, this is delightful. Honestly, you could really rise up, really, expand here, really marshal some success regarding writing projects. Jupiter says opportunity galore from people in high places who befriend you, favor you, allies and benefactors, the actualization of a hope, dream, and wish regarding a project of creativity or revolving around writing. And finally, also an elder sibling could step up and be of great help to help you with your career gains from your 10th house. And, we could say also Mercury here is really good for any projects online, websites, blogs, social media platforms, sales cards and stuff like that. And so you're really up-leveling something in this part of your sky. My sister Nancy, healingwithnancylynn.com is a Cancer rising. I always give her a shout out. Often healingwithnancylynn.com is in my description box, but whatever, things like this are benefiting her as well. I would say here that siblings belong to your 3rd house and your 11th. So a lot of you Cancer rising, especially Sun and Moon secondarily, have a lot of sibling action that's quite visible and quite positive, including travel to or from or with a sibling. That's what Mercury does in the 3rd house, travels. Protector of travelers, short distance travels. And that would be really relevant, again, as I said, mid-October to mid-November with a premium on by October 5th. And I think that if anyone is raining on your parade with the Saturn opposition, it's somebody in a kind of like hierarchical place, like, I don't know, your pastor, a religious person, somebody in a foreign country, something to do with, a legal matter that can kind of weigh on you. Now, don't forget, if you wanted to write and you're a writer, this is the house of book publishing. That Saturn opposition in a wedge to Jupiter can be a traditional publisher opportunity, and Saturn may be playing a positive role here rather than a negative one. I would say it's a really good time for short distance travel in general. If you want to take trips, go for it. And your trips will have a lot of success and a lot of enjoyment, and certainly a lot of social energy as well. But you may be traveling in relationship to places you've been before or people you've known before. All righty, Leo. Sun, moon, and rising sign. Mercury is in your money house, your earnings, your possessions, your self-worth, voice, vocation, face, speech. Okay, 2nd house meanings. Now he's been retrograding there for 3 weeks, goes direct on the 15th, gets visible on the 13th or so, at a month. So mid-month, right, September, mid-month, October, things are really flying here. You're doing really well. You may be making a lot of money because there's a trine to Jupiter that perfects on September 25th, enhancing your reputation with the boss, your status, your perks, your raises, your promotions. Great for getting a new job, especially if the application process happened in the retrograde period. So good news around work, jobs, money, earnings, possession, things like that. And good flow here. Maybe you almost got a job and you really wanted around the 3rd week of August, and it's really breaking through by the end of September with that refrenation of Mercury and Uranus finally completing as a full trine at the end of the month of September. Looks good for work and money for most Leo rising people. With a trine to Pluto in a whole sign way, your 6th house of work and livelihood is also enhanced. We keep saying the same story: work, career, work, money. Now, the other thing about that is that there's some oppositional energy from Saturn, where you share money with another person, a business partner, the bank, the mortgage, the credit card debt, the husband, the wife, and some kind of pressure here. But this could be also being realistic and having a realistic view, new moon, new beginning, about how you wish to create revenue, but also remembering about the more realistic ways that your shared resources can benefit or hinder you. And that includes debt you may have accumulated through credit cards or mortgages. And so you're taking a stab at looking at it more squarely and maybe working with solutions to constrictive elements of your shared resources, chunky money house during the 3 weeks that Mercury is visible. Certainly, though, it's really good for work and money, and you may even get some great news about a raise, a promotion, or even new work. Alrighty, Virgo, Sun, Moon, and Rising sign people. Energy is all in the house of you. I don't know, how has it felt, Virgos, to have this retrograde? This is an elemental Earth year. Mercury has not spent 2 solid months in Mercury since August, September of 2016. This is a real deep energy of power here for you. And what I would say is that this Mercury has been helping you go back over old ground in your ideas of reality, how you see your relationship, your career, your home, and your very own self. And now he's going direct on the 15th. You're going to take those lessons of introspection and move forward, those new ideas, and move forward with bold endeavors and luck and everything because he's visible. So he's visible on the 13th, he goes direct on the 15th, and he comes into a trine by the 25th with Jupiter. Well, this is a very lucky time for you to do with ninth house matters. This is academics, universities and colleges. This is journeys to foreign countries. This is your spiritual philosophy. This is visas if you need them. This is court cases working out well. So a lot of Virgos are finding this to be a superior experience of foreign travel or academic stuff, or even things to do with some bounteous opportunities in what we call your house of third marriage, you know? When I say house of third marriage, I mean long-term living, cohabs, committed, monogamous love. Third partner belongs to the ninth house, okay? And Venus is a ruler of that third marriage, if that happens to be yours, right? So that's a whole other delineation. I would say you might want to look to your partner to be a bit of a naysayer. That may be your marriage or business partner, or even a gnarly client. I mean, just kind of like raining on the parade of this exciting energy here. And so they may be kind of like the voice of sober-minded realism, helping you stabilize that relationship through your jubilant ninth house success. But they also could be very much a downer for you. And it just may mean that business and love partners going through a hard time in their own life, and they're a bit contracted, and you're just having to deal with their contraction and figure out ways to communicate with them through a difficult conversation that you can succeed at, because you have this deep momentum from the retrograde, and say the right words to heal or to resolve tension with a significant other in your life. All right, Libra, sun, moon, rising sign. We have here in the sky, Mercury in your 12th house. This is the classic pay attention to your dreams placement. Mercury's going retrograde for 3 weeks. He's close to Earth. Synchronicities have been higher for you, I hope. But your dreams at night, Mercury's a dream messenger. This is a dream house. So pay attention. I hope you have been. But this is also backroom deals and negotiations for whatever you're up to, especially regarding trust fund monies, inheritances, resources from the bank, mortgages. Maybe there's been a lot of that going on. Now that Mercury goes direct, though, we move into some action plans and some serious, significant, positive direction, momentum. But he's visible in an invisible house. Yeah. So this is an inner illumination of information that comes to you through your own introspection. So look for introspective moments to pay off big time, reflections inward, to work in your behalf between the middle of October and November, the middle of September and the middle of October. Now, there's something was trying to happen around the third week of just August. It's going to come to fruition financially for you in that 8th house of chunky money. Look for the end of September, look for September 25th, and then around the very end of September, early October, to be a boom energy in your money that you can get. Like, you get the mortgage, you get the loan, you get the house sold, especially with Pluto here, you get the property sold, you buy the new property, you get the money from the inheritance, you get the new trust fund arrangements from the backroom deals and negotiations. This looks good on your finances, Libra. Libra, sun, moon, and rising. This is exciting financial gain. If there are any loose ends on inheritances that have been pending, Jupiter retrograde goes and retrieves the money from the past. And so you're going back between now and December 29th to finalize details of money that could be owed to you, or that is abundance that you should be possessing, and you have to go back and get it. All right, look to December 29th for real breakthroughs through to the end of May, though, in those financial areas of your life when Jupiter will go direct. People in the workplace might be making your life difficult, or work is just hard. And so some of this energy is being mitigated or quashed or constrained by the hard work that you must be up to. But Mercury's direct on the 15th, and he is going to be, visible. So you can have some very powerful discussions with backroom deals and negotiations with bosses and work figures that can advance your success in your work, as long as you make your communication clear and direct. All right, Scorpio, sun, moon, and rising sign. It is a story here that Mercury is going to be visible and direct starting on the 13th of September, direct on the 15th in a house of allies and benefactors and elder sibling. But in general, this is a newsy place. It may be phone calls, text messages, emails, or conversations from those friends and allies and who want to help you, who want to support you in some way. This also could be really good for some good news about greater financial gain from your 10th house of career and some good monetary things showing up here through partnering with others, reaching out to others to partner with you or their audience. Go back to the third week of August. Did you try to have any kind of business partnership or legal agreements or contracts with someone? Maybe it didn't work. And now it's going to, because Jupiter will be moving direct. Jupiter will be forming a trine. And later on, some exciting developments from that August 23rd timeframe with electric conversations or developments or news to go with partnerships, audience and clients, and your financial success from your career. The energy of that 11th house can be very exciting when it comes to actualizing some of your deeper dreams and wishes. And perhaps Mercury going direct will give you new ideas about how to make those longer range plans for your life and your career come to fruition, especially with a new moon here, suggesting new groups of friends over the next 6 months and new allies coming into your life, as well as new beginnings and how you acquire those career gains. If you're going to have any of a trine to Pluto, so those career gains involving the online world in particular, and or siblings can be very auspicious. And your elder sibling belongs to the 11th, so information, news, and conversations with an elder sibling, but siblings in general are very auspicious mid-September to mid-October. The constraint can be from your romantic partner or your children. You're parenting hard. Your romance feels hard. Your sex life feels hard. Your creativity and entrepreneurship feels hard. Some of that feels like a weight here, and you're just having to deal it up, you know? Maybe your creative muse is dried up, Saturn's retrograde. Until he goes direct in November, you may have to go back over old creative projects, entrepreneurial projects, and really grind into them. And some of that grinding in that area or with your children or your romantic partner who may be also having some difficulty can feel hard. And so that is where this energy of VA Mercury can feel a little bit more difficult. But with Jupiter in the mix, I think it all works out. It's excellent for signing projects, legal agreements, and having partnerships in your creative and entrepreneurial endeavors, especially, again, if you work in anywhere in the writing, communicating, and online world. Sagittarius, sun, moon, and rising sign. What we have here is we have a Mercury who is backtracking for 3 weeks in your work and career space, or the reputation, career, 10th house. And so maybe you went back to an old job, you heard back from people from former places of employment, but this is now going to be direct motion. And maybe you had to go back over old ideas in your career and rethink them. Now you got a direct motion energy and a visible Mercury. So good things are happening in your career space, basically. Good information, news, conversations, ideas, especially if you market or sell or do anything to do with writing. And this is a direct motion Mercury starting, on the 15th, but visible mid-September to October. You might find also with the sun up here that and the moon as a new beginning, that's a new moon video, go listen to it, that you're going to find that all this stuff that goes on mid-September to mid-October is about this fresh start you're trying to create in your career and reputation space. With a trine to Jupiter on the 25th of September, so give or take a few days, this is work and career success energies, but you had to go back and you're still going back. Jupiter retrograde in the house of employment and the house of work, house of workspace is something to do with going back to old job or old projects or old connections from other workplaces. And he will go direct Jupiter at the end of December and really propel you to finish strong by the end of May in this work career story. I kind of also really do like the idea that Pluto is trying to power up new wealth, and Mercury is trying to suggest it comes from your career. So wealth and earnings and money stories are amplified in the middle of September to October as this very rare elemental Earth here, Mercury, gives a lot of love to that Pluto part of your sky, particularly closer to the Pluto will be felt closer to the first week of October. All right. With some congestion and contraction in the home. Are you depressed at home? Are you alone, home alone? Is there hardship in the home? Is there an elder living in the home? Does home life feel hard, alone, and lonely? That's where you're feeling this pressure here, especially September 15th, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, you're just like, oh, it's heavy here in the home's energy. But as the month goes on, less of that heaviness is indicated. And you may feel that the momentum in the career and work and livelihood and earnings is overshadowing things. Look to the 29th or so from an unexpected, surprising, and exciting development in work and career that tried to happen in a lighter way but failed around August 23rd. Capricorn, sun, moon, and especially rising sign. This is the energy of Mercury, and he's trundling through your ninth house. Now, your ninth house is foreign shores, foreign countries, foreign lands, visas, passports, courts, book publishing, and third marriages. Things have been retrograding here, been going backward for 3 weeks. And on the 15th, not only is Mercury direct, but he's also, until October 5th, visible. So suddenly there's real momentum about travel plans internationally, or just travel in general, maybe travel of the third marriage partner, or maybe that visa finally comes through. Maybe that court case is going to settle finally and negotiate a compromise or a deal. Maybe you're going to find that book publishing contract arriving on your doorstep, etc. Now, because there's also a new moon here that begins on, the 14th. 14th is saying new beginnings, new moons. Mercury's turning visible. It's exciting. Ninth house activations bring you a lot of juice, especially if it involves foreign lands in your life in any possible way, or foreign travel. There is this trine to Pluto that's been going through the house of you since 2008. So of course you're really feeling this end of this long story of trying to find authentic power from within yourself and experiencing death and rebirth as a way to learn what real power is. And you're holding this power very, very lightly as it's going to complete. Depends on your Capricorn ascendant degree, of course. But I'd say you're powering up a new sense of authority here regarding solar figures in the ninth house as well as new moon. So father figures, foreign men, foreign authority figures, foreign companies even, suddenly being opening up very many opportunities for commercial success, for financial success. The Jupiter trine is especially indicative of maybe around the 25th of September, a entrepreneurial style career success opportunity, only if you have your own business, like your own boss. There's no one in charge of you. You're not an employee. One of your children could also be bringing some really good news. Watch out for pregnancy news. Not that you care, but one of your kids could be announcing a grandchild is on the way. And that could be very clearly there around September the 25th or even the 29th, 30th with that trine to Uranus. This began the third week of August. Possibly one of your children knew they were pregnant, but wasn't going to tell you until mid-September or the end of September, early October. I think the questioning energy from the third house is travel. You may want to travel, but you can't travel, or you may have a challenge with a sibling, or you may have a challenge with a cousin, or even a creative project. Travel restriction can be the energy of this, but with a visible Mercury going direct, that if there is a travel glitch here in the matrix, September 14th, 15th, 16th, 17th, it should resolve as Mercury moves into that trine to Jupiter. And exciting energies, shocking but surprising energies, positive, around the 29th of the month, 30th of September. And that's that. Moving into the last two signs. I told you it was going to be a quickie, guys. All right, I'm an Aquarius rising. For Aquarius, sun, moon, and rising sign, this is an energy that really calls forth things to do with your chunky money. Now, Mercury went retrograde here for 3 weeks, and you might have thought about your credit cards, your debts, your taxes. I did all of those. I investigated my taxes. I looked at my debt structures. I looked at a possibility of a cheap loan. I did a lot of stuff like that as an Aquarius rising during Mercury's retrograde. Now that Mercury's going direct, however, and he will be going direct on the 15th. He goes into visibility around the 13th, depends on where you live. It's a good time to take action on all those things that you were doing before then. So I'll be making an appointment with my accountant, right? It's also a time in which eighth house things are lushing up, and you may have some financial surprises that are positive to do with things you're doing in and from the home, or with literally homeland and property. Some of you might find out that your property is worth a lot of money. You get an unexpected offer to sell it. You may find an unexpected but lucrative opportunity to buy a property. All of these are possible. So this is something that could be really exciting for you between mid-September and mid-October. Inheritances belong here, and if any money was due you that you never received from an inheritance, as Mercury went into sleuthing retrogradation, or money that was owed you that was hidden from your view, Mercury could bring it forward. Also, spill secrets, especially opportune ones where you learn about something hidden from your view, from a family of origin perspective, or even a relationship perspective, and by its revelation, it benefits you greatly mid-September to mid-October. And the trine to Pluto in the 12th house is really great for any of us Aquarians who want to generate wealth from foreign countries, foreigners, and foreign shores. This is your shopping cart, PayPal, Stripe account if you work online. And also, Mercury does rule your house of entrepreneurship, suggesting financial entrepreneurial success at a new level coming into the story. Don't forget to hit the like button if you're in my live premiere. I completely forgot to ask again. And I think the opposition energy here, and from the home, at the home, in the home, surprising, exciting, positive developments are what I'm saying, mid-September to mid-October, that benefit you financially. Or if you're into the occult mysteries, you may come across an occult mystery idea or teacher, or teach something yourself. Now, the suppression energy, contraction, or difficulty that Saturn may represent is in the earnings house. To make sense of it, I'm an Aquarius rising, and I'm working pretty hard right now, and I'm seeing clients again. And that actually $1 for hours is the second house money. And I'm not sure I want to do it like next year at all. Honestly, I don't think I need to do it financially from where I am in my business. So some of you guys are looking at Aquarius as the hard work of earning the money or saving the money or making the money being a little at odds, especially in the very beginning, the 13th, 14th, and 15th, and 16th, and 17th, and 18th of September. But then it kind of lightens up as that Jupiter trine begins to become more and more effective and solid, and you begin to experience some kind of bounty and jubilation around your finances. Weirdly, I mean, things to do with your teeth can be Saturn in the second house, and hopefully you don't have to have a filling, and it's nothing more than 13th, 14th, and 15th. You have some dental work that feels ugh. But I'm looking at money gain here. That's what we're seeing for you guys. Money, good money news, good money insights. If you want to buy stock, be careful. I mean, the markets, I think, are going to sink to the black swan level in October, but I could be wrong. I'm not your financial advisor, but this can be really good too for a stock investment of some kind, but only if you hear about it, if some news is coming to you from close to home, rather than you're just going to go and buy a bunch of stocks. Oh, that's so funny. I have to move by minutes in order to grab that. So give me a sec there. And firstly, best and always best, Pisces, sun, moon, and rising sign, especially rising. Now, this is going to be Mercury sitting in your 7th house of your marriage partner, the 7th house of your significant, lasting, committed, monogamous love, and the 7th house of business partnerships, as well as clients and market and audience type placements. You may have some interesting news being declared by a significant marriage type partner in your life, and that would occur around the 13th of September to the middle of November, especially before October 5th. Now, is this going to be good news because there is an ongoing trine to Jupiter that really perfects around September 25th. So anytime between September 13th and maybe the 28th, 29th, especially with Uranus being activated in the later part, exciting, surprising news from your significant other. Now, it may involve travel, it may involve online things, it may involve their siblings, etc. Or it may be unexpected news because you are traveling, will travel, and involves partnerships in business as well. Deals and negotiations and contracts can be cobbled up in the Mercury travel through the house of legal agreements and contracts. And because Jupiter is retrograding, if you do travel, it's to a place you've traveled before. It's nothing brand new. Also, you may find that there's bounty in your way you communicate, especially if you communicate ideas or anything online, that can bring some financial success to you. And I want to say that my vibe here, because Pluto is in the house of great career gains, is that this energy invites in financial success through your career path. Jupiter rules the 10th house, and he is a part of the Mercury forward momentum and visibility. If there's something that was not seen by you or not disclosed to you by your partner in life, love, and business, this could be a disclosure, but you're excited to hear it. It's positive news. You are the one that has got the Saturn sober-minded, squashy, realistic view of reality, and you carry that earlier on on the 13th, let's say to the 18th, you're feeling more like super serious and realistic, and maybe not buying into the feel good story that's coming true. And you may be waiting to see if it will come true with a sober, realistic eyeball. To you, you are Saturn right now. You are acting as if you are dawning on a wise and old sage or a grumpy old man or woman energy, and you're trying to figure out what to do with it because Pisces is not particularly Saturnian. I think you may find also that you're able to provide guidance or wisdom or sage-like sagacity to your significant business and love partner type, or to a client, that will open up opportunities for you to have greater wealth through a career trajectory. But again, we may see travel involved in these opportunities as well. And that looks about it. Okay, thanks for listening, everybody. Don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe, share my videos. It helps the channel grow. Check my description box for all I'm offering. I don't think I'm teaching Sky Reader again. I always say this is the 4th time, but if you want to be your own astrologer, time your best life, you might want to get into my last group on September 23rd to the end of October. That's 6 weeks of live learning with me. Otherwise, I'm pretty sure I won't be doing this one again. I'll just resell it maybe, but I'm not sure even if I'll do that. This is why would I do it again? Because I want to teach advanced astrology and I want to do deep code astrology. Then coppertistwoo.com, amazing affirming jewelry. It honors the animals of this earth. And it's really frigging cool stuff. It's got a bit of a goth vibe on some of it, a bit of a badass, energy. And I certainly have always loved wearing snakes. So I'm going to tell you guys something weird if you're still with me. I'm pretty sure I was in Atlantis. The asteroid Atlantis is on my sun, and with my moon and my Mercury and my asteroid Athena. And I always have memories of wearing snake bracelets there, like they were coiled around my shoulders. Basically, they were gold. And that's my memory of my life in Atlantis, or actually in the diaspora of Atlantis as well, after the destruction of Atlantis. So what I like about this, and the reason I decided to honor this artist, is because there's a lot of jewelry that involves snake stuff, snake rings, snake earrings. I wanted to get the dangly earrings that do this, and I think I might still get them, but they were all out when I agreed to Lori15. It's your 50% off discount code. That's not an affiliate link. That's just me sharing something I love, because it gave me these 2 pieces of jewelry to ask me to share with you guys. So have a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful Mercury visible, very rare, Mercury direct, Mercury involved in a beautiful new moon in the Virgo part of your sky, Mercury, a super powerful elemental earth. Your Mercury is all intense and good energy here. That doesn't mean we won't have stock market problems. We will, I'm pretty sure. But this is your life, and it can be very good for you. Thanks for listening, guys. I'll see you in the next video, which will be about the eclipse previews for the 2 eclipses in October. Have a wonderful day.